As ordinary people who unwittingly find themselves in the clutches of the unknown, it's no wonder that residents of seemingly peaceful towns possess some of the most bone-chilling contemporary paranormal stories ever shared. In this presentation, we unveil two petrifying true tales of families facing the supernatural in their very own homes. Such accounts are plentiful, illustrating the horrifying reality that ordinary individuals face when confronted with the inexplicable forces that lurk in their shadows. A haunting on Shoal Hill. Although Cannock is a predominantly working-class town, many middle-class inhabitants have moved in over time. The majority of families dwell in the modest residences. However, there is an exclusive area in Cannock known as Shoal Hill, where the more affluent reside. Homes in Shoal Hill often fetch millions of pounds and boast amenities such as snooker rooms and indoor swimming pools. In short, this is where the wealthy folk reside. The following incident occurred in a lavish Shoal Hill residence during the winter of 2016. The parties involved no longer possess the property, which has allowed them to feel comfortable speaking about their experiences for the first time. Due to legal reasons, the specific address has been withheld, but is one of the largest and priciest homes on New Pentridge Road, which should give anyone familiar with the area a good idea. The family at the centre of this story consists of a mother, father, and their two young children. As is often the case in such stories, events began with something seemingly trivial that might have otherwise gone unnoticed. 6-year-old twins Molly and Michael were the first to alert their parents to odd occurrences when they told their mother about a strange knocking sound coming from the wardrobe at the foot of their bunk beds. Naturally, the mother investigated but couldn't identify the source of the sound, assuming it was related to water pipes in the wall. The noise worsened over the next few nights, disrupting the children's sleep. Their father, Terry, contacted a plumber to inspect the situation, only to learn that there were no pipes in the wall behind the wardrobe, ruling out that possibility. On the 6th night, young Michael awoke to a horrifying sight. A monstrous figure perched atop the wardrobe. Terrified, the 6-year-old could only scream and call to his parents, who hurried into the room just as the creature vanished. Michael described the creature as having bright red eyes and wearing a filthy overcoat. Initially, his parents dismissed the account as a bad dream. However, when their daughter experienced a similar ordeal the following night, Terry and his wife Sarah knew something was seriously amiss. Over the next fortnight, peculiar occurrences plagued the household. Family members would catch a glimpse of a stranger in the bathroom mirror as they walked by, only for the figure to vanish upon closer inspection. Additionally, an unpleasant smell would mysteriously appear at random intervals throughout the night in various parts of the house. The entire family soon realised that they were dealing with paranormal events and decided to seek help from a local priest. Initially reluctant, the priest ultimately agreed to visit and bless the house. Skeptical about the supernatural, he thought there could be a logical explanation for the bizarre occurrences. Nevertheless, he brought holy water and a Bible to the family's home. Within minutes, his entire outlook shifted. As often happens with demonic activity, the disturbances intensified and became more frequent upon the priest's arrival. As he recited passages from the Bible, picture frames flew off the shelves, utensils soared across the room, and the children grew inconsolable. It was evident that a malevolent entity had lashed onto the Shoal Hill family and wouldn't let go without a struggle. The mother and children retreated to the master bedroom, locking themselves in while Terry and the priest confronted the demon in different rooms. The priest recited verses and sprinkled holy water throughout the house. Following this, the supernatural activity seemed to wane, and then it ceased altogether. Relieved, Terry assumed the demon had been vanquished, but this relief was short-lived. Suddenly, a large, heavy book hurtled from the living room bookcase, striking the priest with great force and rendering him unconscious. With the priest sprawled on the living room floor, the house's power suddenly died. plunging everything into darkness. When the lights flickered back on, the priest was gone. Terry raced upstairs to find his family thankfully safe and sound. In the 6 months that followed, the house experienced no further disturbances. Despite this, the family opted to sell the house and move, seeking a fresh start away from their chilling memories and their children's recurring nightmares. The strangest aspect of this story is the inexplicable disappearance of the unconscious priest. When Terry's wife tried calling the number she initially used to contact him, she found the line dead. Searching for his name and parish online, as she had done before, yielded no results. It was as if the priest vanished from existence, or, eerily, had never existed at all. One theory is that the priest, frightened by the ordeal, fled during the power outage. However, there's a more sinister possibility. The demon claimed the priest's body and soul in exchange for leaving the family alone. Old Maggie at Pye Green. In 1964, newlyweds Mildred and Kenneth Wilson moved into a brand new house in Pye Green, a rapidly growing area of Cannock Chase. Their first home, nestled on the edge of the forest, would be where they planned to raise their children. At the time, Pye Green boasted several housing developments, and the young couple quickly made a habit of taking daily walks through the neighbouring woods. However, a few months after settling into their new home, Mildred and Kenneth encountered something bizarre during one of their forest strolls. Both were stopped in their tracks by a chilling sound. While Kenneth described it as an evil elderly woman's laughter, Mildred perceived it as something far more otherworldly. Regardless of its nature, the sound was loud and petrifying. It persisted for about 30 seconds and seemed to emanate from behind them, no matter which direction they faced. Terrified, the couple sprinted back home without discussing the incident, too shaken to speak about it. Over the next 6 months, though, the strange occurrences continued, ultimately forcing them to break their silence. Mildred couldn't shake the feeling of being watched while walking through the woods, and Kenneth shared the same sensation, although he kept it to himself to avoid alarming his wife. Eventually, they confided in their neighbour about the unusual happenings, leading them to meet Cyril Gardner, who lived in an older, smaller house nearby. Cyril connected the eerie laughter and the sensation of being watched, recounting a story his mother had told him about a malevolent spirit that haunted the woods, seeking vulnerable souls. This spirit appeared as an elderly woman to those she terrorised, often sneaking up on them before striking. Cyril's mother referred to her as Old Maggie. According to the tale, Old Maggie was cursed by a gypsy in the 1850s, trapped between worlds and unable to cross over until she collected 50 vulnerable souls, thereby breaking the spell. In 1964, Cyril estimated that Old Maggie was about halfway to achieving her goal and lifting the curse. Surely she would have succeeded and moved on by now, right? Not quite. Not long after the unsettling events, Mildred and Kenneth opted to sell their house and buy a new one in Heath Hayes, where they continued to reside. They never ventured back to that section of Cannock Chase, successfully avoiding any more encounters with Old Maggie. However, she remains restless, and many others have come across her since. In 1986, 2 Forestry Commission workers dashed into their employer's office, and their faces ghostly pale. They'd been working near the Pye Green Tower when they sensed something was off. Hearing mysterious whispers in the woods and experiencing an eerie sensation that raised goosebumps on their arms, they initially tried to dismiss their uneasiness. Eventually, they had no choice but to confront the presence in the woods. Yelling loudly, they hoped to frighten it off, but the shouts only seemed to provoke it. The 2 men found themselves pursued through the woods by an inexplicable dark shadow. It was like a dark shadow that relentlessly closed in on us. We ran as fast as we could, but it kept gaining on us. I tripped over a fallen tree and fell to the ground. Dave didn't notice and kept running towards our van. One of the men recounted in a statement, "I managed to get back on my feet and didn't see the dark shadow for a moment. Then I heard a twig snap and the unmistakable sound of breathing behind me. I spun around to find a hideous old woman standing there. Her eyes were a horrifying purple colour, and I was momentarily frozen in fear. She opened her mouth, revealing it was filled with maggots, and I nearly threw up. That's the last thing I remember before sprinting back to the van. The worker continued. Old Maggie still lingers today, suggesting she hasn't yet collected enough vulnerable souls to break her gypsy curse. In fact, a group of teenagers may have encountered her in Pie Green's woods as recently as 2022. Mark, Sean, Kerry and Mackenzie were spending their summer vacation in the very area where Old Maggie is often spotted. They enjoyed hanging out in the woods, free from parental scrutiny. However, after their encounter, they never dared to return. The 4 teens all claimed to have seen Old Maggie simultaneously shortly after nightfall, not far from their homes in Pie Green. Fortunately, they escaped unscathed, but Old Maggie's chilling words left them shaken. As a ghostly figure appeared before them in the forest, she spoke the spine-chilling words, 4 weak souls, delicious. It goes without saying that the teenagers had a narrow escape, and they've been warned never to venture into that part of the woods again.